Hey, brother.
Hey, brother. So, Groundhog's Day to New Year's Eve, except instead of
Okay.
it being the repeat of the day, it's the repeat of the year,
Okay.
right? So it's like, should it
Okay.
be should it be a Groundhog's Day too, or should it just be its own original idea?
All right. So, I mean, it could be the same characters. It could be a whole new idea. But like the ball drops on Christmas Eve, and then it's the beginning of the year. The ball has
Yes,
just dropped.
yes.
All right. Um, that's interesting. So, do we want to have that be like this year?
Sure. Yeah.
like,
Could it be today?
yeah.
Modern day. It could be modern day. Yeah,
Oh man, just got to live this past year over again.
I know.
Um, Okay, so if we did, it would be Phil
Hmm.
and Rita.
Yes.
Um, do we do it where it's just happening to Phil again, or do we have it where it's like Rita's in on it too, Phil and Rita
Yeah.
both?
I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I almost think. I mean, I hate to say it, but you, Phil. It feels like Phil has already become the person he wanted to become, and
Yeah,
having Phil go through this again seems redundant.
yeah,
Like,
okay,
yeah, like there was a purpose and a point behind Phil going through Groundhog's Day.
okay. So this actually is a good point, because if there is a reason for him going through Groundhog Day, where
Yeah.
like he has to go through the same day over and over again in order to kind of become who he is supposed to be,
Yes.
that same reasoning, that same logic needs to apply for a full year. So
Yes.
whoever this new character is needs to live through the full year again in order
Yes.
to become who they need to become. So who is this person? I mean, this has got to be like this has got to be someone who's doing something
Yeah.
through like over the course of a year is like screwing a lot of people over.
Um. So yeah. So they're a lawyer.
There, yeah, I know. That was the first thing that came
Right.
to my head too. Was a lawyer. Um,
Uh.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
They're a
it's like
lawyer. They they get some guy off the hook, and this guy ends up killing somebody
okay,
that they're close to, their friend or something. You know.
yeah,
Uh. And this kind of is a good starting point of. And I would say that. So here's the thing: this friend dies, right? Because this guy
yeah,
gets let go. Then the next time, he makes sure the guy goes to prison, and the friend still gets killed through one of this guy's like
hmm,
associates. So it's kind of like
okay,
it's now this is a situation of you're doing the right thing, but you still can't save your friend because your friend is in too big of a mess to be saved. It's kind of like the that homeless older guy from Groundhog's Day, where it was just
okay,
like it's
okay,
just his time to go,
yeah,
and there's
yeah,
nothing you can do about it.
yeah,
And he's trying to like, he's basically been playing. Phil was playing God
right,
up
yeah.
to this
So
point
yeah,
and
this,
winning, you know.
yeah,
And so
that's that's something like so. I think that for Phil, he needed to kind of be taught that lesson
yes,
for this new
yeah.
character. Um, I don't know. Is that still the lesson that he needs to be taught, or like is
I
it something
it's
else
one of them.
entirely?
It certainly could be one of the lessons, not the big
I you
lesson
know
though. Yeah,
I kind of like the idea of like maybe he does get somebody off who's
yeah,
guilty,
yes,
and it happens toward like the end of the year. This sounds like a finale type of thing.
yeah,
Um, if he's like a prosecutor and he's going after people, like maybe he does mostly like copyright or something like that,
Yeah.
and he represents like a big brand,
Yeah.
and he's going after the little guy.
Yeah.
And so he's like screwing over all these small businesses, which is fine when you never have to deal with them again,
Yeah.
you know? But like he has to live the whole year over again, so he's seeing all these people all over again that he's
Yeah.
already screwed over. And
Yeah.
like now it's kind of hitting home for him. The prosecutor thing, or yeah, the like if it's like there's somebody who was like a murder or something like
Yeah.
that, um, that sounds so heavy. I almost feel like it should be like a manslaughter thing, like somebody who is like in a car accident who like hit a pedestrian, something like that. Um, but on his like his relive through the year,
Mhm.
he meets and maybe befriends the victim. So it's like this is a new friend. It's not someone who existed before. It's someone that he like um, is like newly associated with his second time around through the year, and like he knows the name, and it's like this is the guy who gets hit by the car.
Oh. Yeah. So now, okay, yeah. So his second time around, he's like in a coffee shop, and someone yells out like, "Oh, like Victor, or whatever the guy's
Yeah,
name is, Ted McGillicuddy.
right.
Ted McGillicuddy, your
McGillicuddy.
coffee's ready." I don't know.
Yeah,
And now he looks and is like, "I know that name," and it's the guy.
yeah,
And now he kind
yeah,
of like can't help himself but to get to know him a little bit.
yeah.
You
And
know?
now he knows this guy who's
Yes.
awesome, who's great, and he knows that he's gonna get hit by a car,
Yes.
and then he's gonna be like approached to represent the driver.
Yeah.
I think that could be maybe a good story to go down. The only thing is I don't know if it fits with the copyright stuff. Like the copyright stuff we might have to scrap because maybe that's not
Yeah.
his his
Well,
brand of law who he represents.
yeah. The there's got to be a couple things going on though. So it's like either the character has to be, because if he is in a bigger city,
Yeah.
the issue is that he's not stuck. Because if you live in a city, you can pass by somebody and then never ever see them ever again for the rest of your life. Whereas if you're in a
Yeah.
small town, you're going to be running into the same people over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
Groundhog's Day, he's stuck in this small town, and he's
Yeah.
stuck with these people, and he's constantly seeing the same people over and over again.
Yeah.
So it's like, so either this guy is someone who he does kind of already want to reach out, or he's just stuck in a smaller town. And because he's stuck in a small town, now he's forced to deal with the fact that Ted McGillicuddy is at the only coffee shop in the entire place. There's like one diner,
Yeah.
So if you want to get
Yeah.
coffee, you got to come here. And if you want to come here to get your coffee, you're going to run into Ted McGillicuddy, and that's the guy you screwed over.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, that could work. There's also so I'm remembering that this
Yeah.
is a New Year's movie.
Yes.
So like tying that in, it could be that like maybe he does want to change his approach, or it's just like this wasn't a good year. I represented a lot of people. I made a lot of money, but they weren't the right people, and I didn't get like the right result. And I want next year to be different. And like maybe that's a resolution even for him. I want next year to be different, and then he has to live this same year over again. And so then the movie becomes him trying to make this next year different.
Yes.
When really it was just like it's about fixing the mistakes that he made last year.
Yeah, it's either the repeat really can't happen much more than like once or twice. Because he's going to figure out, he's either going to be like, well, I don't even care to deal with this because it's going to repeat after the first or second try, or he's going to the problems aren't going to be big enough for him to have to solve, like as opposed to like if he's living through the year and some really drastic things, 4 or 5 really big things happen during the year, that
Yeah.
he is now like, I know that building burns down.
Yeah.
And he's running in, like, just getting people out, like figuring out, how do I get everyone out of the building before the
Right.
building burns down, and he's kind of playing that role a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. It is. I am struggling with the fact that it's a whole year long thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that's kind of the difficult part. You would have to structure it because you can't show the way the year played out the first time. Or like
Oh,
you can't do it. You can't do it chronologically. You know what I mean?
yeah. Oh my gosh, that's actually a cool idea. That right there is, he's
just
playing
just showing.
he's in year like 50,
Oh.
and you're following this guy around in like year 50, where he's played the year
Yeah.
out so many times.
Yeah.
Then he's
Yeah.
going through it a certain way, and you're basically following, like, almost like if you were following Phil on like that, like, day, like 10,000, where
Yeah.
like now he's just like running around saving everybody and jacking the car up the moment the flat happens. He walks in the restaurant, like Heimlichs the guy and walks out. So you're
Yeah.
following
Yeah.
a guy like that, where he's just going through his day, kind of casually, but like just rescuing, saving, doing all these
Dude,
great things, convicting this
that would
guy
be.
that nobody has the like evidence for. He's like, well, I actually found the gun, because he's been
Yeah.
because he spent like 50 years looking for it. And now
Yeah.
he's kind of like hit the pinnacle of his thing. Then at the end of it, like, someone can be like, how are you doing this? And
Yeah.
then he can tell them, like, to end like, you're ending the movie basically on him being like, because I've lived the same year for like
Yeah.
120 years now.
Yeah. So
Like,
you're
I
saying to
already
like
knew it was
have it
going to
even be a
happen.
surprise to
Yes.
the audience.
Yeah. Right?
That could be interesting. I
I
do
think,
like the idea too. Like it'd be funny him just like
yes.
casually walking into a burning
Yeah.
building and then
Yes.
walking out like carrying somebody and like putting them on the floor and walking away.
Yes. Yeah, because he's got like something else to do now.
Yeah.
He's got to go
Yeah.
to the next thing. And it's
Oh
like,
my gosh.
yes. And
That's
then,
interesting.
yeah, and you can have like funny moments too, where like he's, like, setting his alarm clock for some weird time, like 3:24 a.m. Like, was it 2:24 a.m.? Was
Yeah.
it 4:32? Like, he's kind of
Yeah.
like doing that, and he's like, I think it was 3:24.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, and then, like, wakes up. He's like, you just see him like wake up and like kind of like moving fast. Like, I hope it was three.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope it was three. And then he just
Yeah.
like goes in somewhere and does it. And like, but you never actually explain it. You can even go all the way to the ending and never explain it either. Other than that, like, if someone's like, what is going on? And have him be like,
Yeah.
have you ever seen Groundhog's Day?
Yeah.
And it's like
Yeah.
that, where it's like, now you're kind of like piecing together, like, oh, he's, like, and then like maybe like, yeah, the New Year's ball, drops, and he goes, well, like, someone's like, oh man, like, the next year, he's like, or the same
Yeah.
one over
They
again.
say like, man, like say goodbye to 2024, and then the ball drops, and it's like Happy New Year 2024.
Yes. And he's like, yeah. He's like, all right, back. Oh, guess I'm doing this again. And
Yeah.
like the movie ends. That's not bad,
Yeah.
right?
That's not bad. That's
Would it
not
just
bad.
would it just be so confusing and weird? The audience would hate it though. That we're just following this
mean,
guy doing all this weird stuff, and it's like, what is going on?
maybe, but I
Yeah.
think it would depend. I think that if you had a because at that point it's not the plot line anymore because you're not telling anybody that that's
Yeah.
what's happening.
Yeah.
So it's more like a backdrop to whatever the actual plot line is. So
Yeah.
there would still need to be a goal. There would still need to be something that he's like trying to
Yeah.
do. And it could be, it could be a case that he's never cracked, or a case that he's never won, or it could be a love story, like
Yes.
just the girl that he's never got.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like maybe that's even kind of it. Is like there's this girl that he just kind of keeps watching from afar, and he has a buddy who's like, why don't you go over and say something to her? And he's like, because it just doesn't go right, like it just never works,
Yeah.
like anything I say to her, it doesn't work out right. um and so yeah, it's just like someone that man, it'd be hard to explain it without actually telling the story. um but I kind of like the idea of, like, early on, one of the first like couple years,
Yeah.
he just had this incredible year with this woman, and created this really great relationship. And then every year since, he hasn't been able to rekindle it. So it's
Yeah.
just like, oh man, I started this great relationship with this great girl, and then my
Yeah.
year started over, and like everything I've done since has like just not worked. And so
Yeah.
yeah, like it's like if there is like a traditional plot line or a traditional love
Yes.
story where he's trying to win the girl and he
Yeah.
doesn't know how to, or he doesn't remember how to,
Yeah.
um, then that's the plot line. And then you're not really worried about the backdrop. Like, why is he so good at everything? And why is this girl not interested in this guy who's good at everything, you know?
Yes. What? Yeah, it's a yeah, if it's one of the earlier years, then he's a certain type of person.
Yeah.
And maybe it's like year 2. And at year 1 he doesn't really make his move, and then year 2 he's like, I'm living the same year over again, I may as well. And he's like that certain type of guy.
Yeah.
And then he changes. He gets jaded,
He gets
you know?
jaded, maybe. He gets
Uh
good at everything.
yeah, he just
He loses that
he
charm.
knows
Like
he
there's
knows what's going to happen,
yeah.
and it kind of the twinkle leaves his eye because of it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's like yeah, and he can't.
What's that part of yourself that you
uh,
can't really fake is the part that happens when you mess up. Like
uh,
if you go on a date with a
yeah,
girl
yeah,
and you're trying to impress her,
yeah,
and you grab a soda and the lid's not on all the way,
yeah,
and it spills all over you,
yeah,
and you're like, ah, well, that's great, and she starts
yeah,
laughing
yeah, yeah,
because of the way that you reacted to the situation.
yeah,
um like, you can't recreate that if you know it's going to happen.
yeah,
So like, he grabs the soda and like fixes the lid because it's like, that was a mistake, I don't want to do that again, like that was
yeah,
embarrassing. And it's
yeah,
like, no, she liked that about you.
yeah,
And now like everything you're doing is fake, everything you're doing is a front. Like, you're
yeah,
not showing her who you are, you're not showing her like what you're like in a crisis, because you're never in a crisis.
yeah. It's yeah, that's definitely a route to go down, and I like the thing is, do you show that year or do you not show that year? There's
I
actually
know.
so many avenues that you can go on with this thing now that like we're
Yes.
getting into it, because you could have just the story of a guy where at a certain point in his life these two people are like really good for each other, but now that he's
Yeah.
reliving the year over again, he's not the same guy. He's a different
Yeah.
guy living the year over again, because he's
Yeah.
basically a year older, and now they're not right for each other. And it's like,
Yeah.
and yeah, you could have that where his friend is just like, man, like you're always staring at that girl, you're like totally in love with her, and he can just be like, every year about this point, more and more than you would think, and
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
year at this point, she's less and less interested. And his friend just be like, what are you talking about? But it's like the
Yeah.
theme of the whole thing, where it's just like the more I'm interested in her, I become just like this less and less the person she even would care to be with.
Yeah.
Because now
Yeah. Well,
I'm
yeah.
you're outside of the whole life cycle once you're living it over
Yeah.
again.
He's not a person anymore. He's a force of nature.
Yeah,
And like, when you're let's. I mean, you put a lot of focus into one person. That can be really flattering,
Yeah.
and it could also be very intimidating.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're a force of nature who's good at everything and walks into burning buildings
Yes.
without flinching, then you are a force of nature that is maybe a little intimidating.
Yeah.
And when all of your focus is on me, I'm going to be like, what the heck is wrong with this guy?
Yeah.
Whereas, yeah, like maybe the first year, the first, like, you know, time that it looped, he was just kind of a guy who was like what the heck's going on? Like, why am I living the same year over again? And he was still kind of like out of it, still kind of like fish out of water, and
Yeah.
that's charming. That could be charming.
Yeah. Is there also a what's it called to it too? Is there a I don't know. I don't know how common this is for a lot of people. Um,
Okay.
I'm not this way, so it's hard for me to like relate. But is there also a degree of like now that he's like Superman,
Yeah.
she seems plain. Is that a direction to go in? Where
Oh.
he's like he recognizes that she's the right person for him, but
Yeah.
he's too above it all now. Where it's almost like
Yeah.
I can't really engage with her anymore because it's the same
She's predictable.
stories. Yeah, she's predictable, and I'd rather just I don't I like he's almost staying away from her because he's like
Yeah.
if one day this year ends, I want to feel like I can still hang out with her. So instead
Yeah.
he's just kind of like going out playing the field and meeting people that he doesn't know and just he's just doing his thing. And he's also like I'm
Yeah.
kind of like afraid that one day this is going to end and she's just going to seem plain and boring to me because I've been through this
Yeah.
like 100 years now. I'm a like 100-year-old man now, and I'm
Yeah.
talking to someone
Yeah.
who's like 20 or 30, and they're just not. They don't get it. They don't get anything.
That might dictate how his year ends and how he
Yeah.
was finally able to move forward. Is this girl that is maybe perfect for him, and he just doesn't see it anymore because she's like predictable.
Yeah.
Um, she does something or says something toward the end of the year that surprises him,
Ooh. Well, wait a second.
and he can what
Yeah. Haven't we done this?
what done what
We
this
wrote.
the Groundhog Year? No, we've never
Yeah.
done this. Get out of here. So, so, but no, yeah, like he can even say it because then it's the theme of the film, or it's
Well,
like even after all this time, like you still surprise me.
I was talking about a script we wrote.
Oh, oh, we did write a script.
Yeah. That has a day
Um,
loop.
yeah, that has
Yeah.
it has a time loop.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, is that that's not a thing though? Like he doesn't say that to her.
No, but there is a female character in it who's the only person in it that says things
That doesn't.
differently. Is
Yeah,
a little different every single day because there's such a
yeah,
random person.
yeah,
Yeah, which
yeah.
is like part of the attraction. But anyway,
That's true.
yeah.
That's
Sorry,
true.
sorry, just
Um,
that totally. I was like, wait a second. You got that idea?
no,
But
yeah,
anyway, we
but
wrote
like
that script years ago.
that I
We wrote
think
that script
is
years ago. At this point.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, that was a long time ago. Um, but no, yeah, I think that's a way to go where maybe it is even New Year's Eve, like she like does something and he
Yeah.
says like, yeah, like even after all this time, like you still find ways to surprise me,
Yeah.
and like that revelation is maybe what allows him to move on to the next year, and with the knowledge that he can continue with this girl and not be worried about whether or not he's
Hmm.
going to be bored by her. I was like, no, like she still surprises me.
Yeah.
Like
Wouldn't it be
she's just right for me.
Wouldn't it be funny if he says that to her, like, "Wow, even after all this time, like you're still surprising me," you know? He's like, "I like that
Yeah.
about you," and she's like, "You're like remarkably predictable." You know? And he's like, huh. And he's like, I like that about you. And he's like, oh, okay. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like funny that he's predictable when he's the one who's like knows what's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be funny.
Um,
Is that it? I
well,
don't know if there's more we can do
I
there.
feel like there's my issue with it now is whereas before I was kind of like, wow, like it's a difficult thing to do when you have like a whole year. Now I
Yeah.
actually think there's so many different directions you could take it in.
Yeah. That's the problem.
That are interesting and
I feel like we came up with 3 interesting stories, but they're also 3 different stories.
Yeah, you can't tell them all. You're either
right.
Like you're either gonna tell the year and kind of take it from that linear, like here's year 1 and now here's the repeat of that year, and then like now the progression of the repeats to get some goal, or you're gonna take it in just like these other weird directions. Like you're just showing year like 100 where he's like he knows what's gonna happen and he looks like Superman.
Yeah.
Or you're showing some love story where he's kind of like bored with life, and he loves this person and she doesn't love him back because he acts like 100-year-old man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's the thing too. Like, what does it do to you when you live 100 years or 1,000 years?
Yeah.
When you've lived that long, what does it turn you into? How jaded with life do you get?
Yeah.
But sticking with New Year's though.
Yes.
So everyone does the New Year's resolutions.
Right.
No one keeps them.
Right.
What if there's a movie where someone has like the New Year's resolution, they're like bucket lists, where they're like, okay, like I've got all these New Year's resolutions that I've kept as an adult since I was like 18. Now I'm 30. I've got these 12 resolutions I've broken. This next year, I'm going to take all 12 of them, and every single month I'm going to like live up to every single one of them, getting through all my life's resolutions in 1 year.
Yeah. I like that. So this guy's New Year's resolution is to do the 12 resolutions that he broke.
Yes.
Over the course of the past 12 years, over the next 12 months. Like, that's his New Year's resolution. Yes. I like that a lot. Okay. I like the idea, and I think really what it comes down to is what are the resolutions?
Yeah. Do you have resolutions that you have kept or haven't kept?
I mean, I feel like I haven't really done resolutions for the past few years. Like I don't know. Yeah. But I have done the whole like I'm gonna go to the gym and get in shape thing, which I kept. And I've done the I'm going to like buckle down and save money, which I kept.
Yeah.
And then I've done the I'm gonna make a movie this year, which I kept.
Wow. Yeah. So you're not this guy at all.
No. No, I say I want to do something, I go out and I do it.
Yeah. I don't do New Year's resolutions.
Yeah.
I just want to do stuff throughout the year, and I either do it or I don't do it. And I just kind of am like, well, if I don't do it, I guess I didn't want to do it bad enough. And if I do want to do it enough, I just jump into it. And I just start doing it and figuring out how to do it. So, I mean, but I don't know. I think the New Year's resolution, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's more for people who don't typically set goals just throughout the year, than actually like rise to the occasion and meet the goals that they're setting.
Yeah. I think it's a good practice for somebody who maybe isn't great at following through on their goals.
Yeah, but no one ever keeps them.
Yeah, so I mean that tells you something about.
Well, one of them's got to be like becoming a matador, right? The guy wanted to become a matador, so like now he's like got to do like some matador thing, Yeah. And then like I mean that's just it. Like it's got to be because like it could be like just one of those things where like he's kept, like a journal, and he's got like I have all my New Year's resolutions, like,
Yeah.
from every single year, and
There
one of
should
them's like learning
there
how to
should
like
be.
fly a helicopter,
Yeah,
so it's
yeah.
just
So he's making like outlandish. Okay, yeah, all right. So
mixed in
I
with,
was
I
gonna
mean,
say something that
yeah,
I'm now going to maybe retract. I was going to say like there could be a couple of like normal ones in there. Like I'm
yes,
gonna go to the gym and work out, or
yeah,
like I'm gonna buckle
yeah,
down, save some money, and that could be like kind of funny as like. Well, like I can't save money this month because of how much the helicopter's gonna cost.
yeah,
Like I'll
yeah,
save money next month.
yeah,
Um, but it would be funny if all of his resolutions were things that he was making with the expectation that it's going to take me about a year to learn how to do this.
yeah,
And so he's trying to like learn how to fly a helicopter in a month, and he's trying
yes,
to like learn how to be a matador in a month. Like I don't know, play the piano.
yeah.
Uh, but like it couldn't just be play the piano because
It's
that's
got
like
he's
he
got to
would
be
have to be like
get up,
playing on stage
yes, yeah, in front of
in front
people.
of people.
You got to play on stage in front of people. Yeah, so it's like the thing is like, yeah, the funny thing about it is that he could be doing all these things
Yeah.
poorly
Yeah.
by the end of this, and it's
Yeah.
still it still works, and it's still funny,
Yeah.
and like that he's flying the helicopter,
And he
but it's
didn't
not
die.
but it's not going good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then he's like,
Yeah.
all right, and then
Yeah.
the guy's like, I got to take over and land this thing, and he's like, no, come on,
Yeah.
like, come on, man, and the guy's like, you're gonna kill us, you know, like,
Yeah.
please, he's like,
Yeah.
all right, like, so tightening the seatbelt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Is he a matador or does he ride a bull?
Oh, I mean, gosh.
So I want to last 8 seconds on a bull.
Yeah, 8 seconds on the ball. How hard do you think it is to do that?
I mean, it's not easy. I couldn't do it.
I wonder how hard it
Oh
is.
man. What?
I do wonder, like, how hard it is to do that.
Yeah.
Like, is
Yeah.
it just your grip strength? Can you just grip strong enough and
I don't
hold
know.
yourself?
I don't know. I think there's probably so much more technique
Yeah.
involved than there is like grip strength. Like, because if you're doing grip strength and you go this way, like your body's falling forward, doesn't matter how hard your grip is.
Yeah.
So I think you're just kind of like you have to have that exact balance between keeping loosey goosey
Yeah.
and also
Yeah.
extremely firm.
Yeah. You got to have the rubber body.
Yeah,
Your body's got to be rubber. Does he have friends that are doing it with him, or is it just him doing it?
I'm not sure.
Because you can have
Because
friends doing it with him that are dropping out.
oh,
You know what I mean?
that's
Like,
not bad.
like they ride the bull, and
Yeah.
then his friend, let's just call him, I don't know, something random, Ted McGillicuddy.
Okay.
His friend Ted McGillicuddy,
Yeah.
gets injured or something, like breaks his
He's
leg.
gored by a bull.
Yeah. And so he gets like injured by the bull,
Yeah.
and he's like, I'm out, man, I'm not doing anything else,
Yeah.
he's like, come on,
Yeah. He could have friends that like are maybe doing some of them with him. Like
Yeah.
if they have kind of things that overlap,
Yeah.
where he has something ridiculous where it's like I want to like those skydivers that like jump out without a parachute and like grab someone out, or like they land on like a
Oh,
bullseye, they land
the
on
point
something like specific.
he wants to point break.
He wants to do like a point break,
Oh
and then
my
he has a friend,
gosh.
and
Yes.
his friend is like, my only resolution was to go skydiving. Like I'm not gonna jump out without.
Yeah. Yes.
And so like they're both up there, and he's up there without a parachute.
Yeah.
You know? He's like, dude, you're crazy. Like I don't know. Like I'm just gonna pull the string like when they tell
Yes.
me to. Like I'm not gonna.
Oh,
So
that's
yeah,
actually,
like he
yeah.
could have friends are doing like
Yes.
lesser versions of the things that he's doing.
That's not bad. I like that one. I think the Point Break is a good one.
I want to do the Point Break.
Yeah, he does the Point Break. He jumps out of the airplane
Yeah.
without a parachute on and has to catch his friend.
Yeah.
And then his friend won't pull the chute. Makes him pull the chute.
Why?
Um,
It's like, pull the chute. It's like, no, man, he didn't pull it in the movie.
yeah, it's kind of a it's a good one. What is the catalyst that is propelling him to do this in the first place?
Um, I think that what makes sense to me is growing up. Uh, the whole New Year's thing, I feel like the symbolism is like fresh start, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
a new, and then a resolution is like learn something new, like become something new.
yeah,
So it's like he's 30 years old, then he's got to be stagnant. He's got to be like
yeah,
still kind of doing the same old stuff that he was doing when he was 18. And it's like, dude, like you need to get off your ass. Like you need to do something. You need to grow up. It's
yeah,
like you're doing the same crap you were doing when you were 18. Like you have all these big dreams, these big goals, but you never follow through on them.
yeah. What do you think of
You got to
this?
be a 30-year-old now.
What do you think of this idea?
Ah,
What if like, yeah, let's say he's 30, something like that,
yeah, yeah.
Um his dad dies
Okay.
and he's looking through his dad's journal, and in his dad's journal he's seeing all the New Year's resolutions that his dad had that he never did.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
like um he's like, I got to do these.
Yeah.
So he's doing his dad's New Year's resolutions for
Oh.
him because his dad never could do them,
Okay.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And one of them is the Point Break.
One of them is the.
And he's all like, what's the Point
Gosh.
Break? It just says Point
Yeah.
Break and then like time code, you know?
Yeah.
And then pull the
Yeah.
chute. And he's like, what is that? And he watches the movie and he's like, oh my
Yeah.
God. You know?
Yeah. 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 That's not bad. I
What
actually
if
I like
all
that.
what if all the resolutions are like that too? They're just the movie title, a little quote, and the timestamp. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like True Lies. What?
It's just like riding a horse through a mall.
Yeah, just the whole thing is like that.
Yeah. Yeah. That could be good. I like it. I like it being kind of like his father's resolutions too, because then
Yeah,
it feels more like he has to get them done.
yeah,
Because like if a deadbeat all of a sudden has willpower,
yeah,
there is a little bit of that where like the audience might feel like just give up then, you know?
yeah, yeah,
And it makes sense for the character to just kind of feel like, you know what, yeah, I'm just gonna give up. But if it's for somebody else, if it's for like something else, then there's a sense of obligation.
yeah,
Um, that yeah, like he would have to kind of push forward. Ah, that's better. I do like that.
yeah. Do you like the idea that Dad's gotten all of his ideas off of movies?
I
There's
do
a
like that. Yeah,
there's a
we would
movie.
have to like. What?
this one, you
You
can't
say snow falling on
you
cedars.
cannot put in.
I
This one
swear.
you can't put in because people actually tried it and they died.
Okay.
Supposedly, I don't know if this is urban legend or not, but I think it actually happened. There's a movie though where there's like, I think it's like a football team, and the football players, like as a like hazing, they're lying down in the middle of the freeway, like in between the lanes, and the cars
Yeah.
are just like past them because they're like
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think somebody actually tried it. They got the
Yeah.
idea from the movie, and I think they got killed because you can't lie down in
Yeah.
the middle of the freeway. People change lanes.
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, but that's the kind of stuff like that movies have in them. They just have like the most
Yeah,
ridiculous things in them.
I mean, yeah. No, I mean, to avoid stuff like that, like it has to be the unbelievable factor where it's
Yeah.
like, it'd be like Mission Impossible 3 and then the timestamp and it's like the tanker going over him and it's like what. It's like I want to do the tanker thing. Like I want like to lie in the street and have like a tanker like
Yeah.
go over
No,
me.
no, it's that movie where the guy's riding the horse and slides under the semi truck. The first the guy has the motorcycle and does it right,
Yeah, the motorcycle. He like
and then the
slides his
guy on
motorcycle in, and then
the
the
guy
guy
on
does
the
it with his horse.
does it. So yeah, he wants to do that. He wants to slide under the semi truck, the moving
Yeah,
semi truck. Yeah. I don't know.
yeah,
There's gotta be stuff that's a little bit more what's it called though. Like but yeah, I like the idea like of just something like normal too. Like he just walks up to Julia Roberts and kisses Julia Roberts, like dips Julia Roberts because it's his dad. His dad saying like
yeah.
that's his crush.
It's like the
But
crush that he had.
yeah, it's Julia Roberts.
It's yeah. I mean, I don't know. um, I just got this like image of him like chasing Julia Roberts with like the like the jewelry. It's
Oh
like trying to
yeah,
clap her hand in
yeah,
it. And she's like, "What are you doing?"
yeah.
It's like trying to do the Pretty Woman thing.
Yeah, from Pretty Woman.
It's like this was the timestamp. My dad wanted to do this. So he wanted to get that laugh. Yeah, I think as long as you come up with 12 good like movie scenes,
Yeah,
and then it's just like this underachiever who's like kind of forcing himself to do it. I think that could be a lot of fun. I think that could be really funny.
yeah.
You
There's
just
gotta
gotta
be.
you just gotta pick 12 good movie
Yeah,
scenes.
it's gotta be. Yeah, there's gotta be one that's like outlandishly mundane as well, where he's like doing
Yeah,
it and it just is like, this is one of them. How is this one of them? It's something just drinking drinking tea with um Captain Picard.
yeah. Oh, that would actually be funny. Is like
Yeah.
drinking tea with somebody who is now passed away, but they weren't when he made the resolution, and so he like is drinking tea in at like a gravesite, like the gravesite of
Yeah,
like who died, and like that gets chased off of the graveyard by security.
yeah.
Like yeah, it could be pretty mundane, but we could still kind of like make it a little bit like he has to like I don't know break into a mausoleum or something stupid.
A wax
It'd still be
museum.
fun. That's actually pretty good. I like that.
Yeah. I'm trying to. Yeah, I do wonder if there's something. I don't know. I haven't fully pinned it down though.
Pinned
The
what
I
down?
the idea. I don't feel like I have it fully pinned down.
Okay.
You know what I mean? In like,
No.
I
What do
guess
you mean?
I guess the format hasn't fully like come together in my
Oh.
head. Yeah, on how it would like play out.
Yeah. I mean, there are movies that have kind of like the list thing.
Yeah,
Um, and I think that it does just kind of play out chronologically for the most part. With the exception of Kill Bill, which is for some
yeah,
reason not chronological. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think it's just like you almost break it down like every single resolution is kind of like a short film,
yeah,
um,
yeah,
and they're all like interlinked. So it might, if you were to break it down and show them separately, they might feel like episodes of like a season,
yeah,
and then the whole movie itself is just kind of like what the season is. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think that for the most part, you're writing it kind of episodic.
yeah. With like, yeah, the I guess it's the like overarching um, obviously there's the conflict of like the time schedule because you're going to run out of time
Yeah.
eventually. But then
Yeah.
there has to be another conflict as well on top of the stunts that's also potentially getting in the way. Like this
Right.
guy's gonna get married, you know,
Yeah.
at
There's
some point
something
in
that
this,
he's
and this is,
got to do,
yeah,
and this is getting in the way of it. Where it's
yeah,
like, I only have whatever 3 months
yes,
left,
yes,
and I still have 5 resolutions,
yeah,
or something
he's
like that.
behind,
And
yes,
it's like, yeah, but you're gonna get fired, or whatever. Your fiance is gonna leave you, or
yeah,
like what? Yeah, I get that. So yeah, I mean, the story itself needs to be centered around the character because like each stunt is episodic, but the
yeah,
overarching story is going to be character development. It's going to be his growth, his journey. What has he learned? What did he gain? Um, and yeah, I mean, maybe it is kind of like maybe it's kind of the story of him like leaving the employee thing and becoming an entrepreneur. It's about taking chances, right? So
yeah,
like he's gonna lose his job, and then he like chooses to finish the resolutions, and he does get fired. He does lose his job,
yeah,
and then he goes out and starts his own business, like maybe a competing business, because he's like, I know how to do all that. It's like I don't need them, and I'm not risk averse,
yeah,
not anymore. Not after last year. So like he goes out and like starts his own business, and he's good at it, and he's taking chances. He's taking risks.
yeah. Starts the Point Break business.
He starts the Point Break business. Yeah, yeah. He
Tons of
starts the parachute-free skydiving.
massive fatalities, no refunds.
Zero refunds. You don't have to pay them back
Yeah.
if they're dead.
So sticking with the resolutions,
Yeah.
there is a monster that we have never had, and that is the New Year's resolution monster. So a monster
Okay.
that, like when you break your New Year's resolution, it comes and pays you, you
He
know,
comes and gets you.
yeah, it comes to pick up that debt that you owe to it. You
Yeah.
owe it the debt of finishing the resolution, and when you don't finish the resolution, it's coming for you.
Okay. Okay. So this is a physical being then. It's not like
It's
a Final Destination like Aura.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't say it's like a Final Destination aura, but I wouldn't say it's a human necessarily either.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
it's got to be mystical in some way, but it's more like a demon maybe than anything
It looks
else.
like the Where the Wild Things Are. It's this big, goofy, Muppet-looking monster.
Yeah.
No, yeah, okay. So some kind of creature,
Yeah.
and he, I guess, feeds on resolutions.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have to kind of establish the rules of this monster a little bit to
Mhm.
understand how, like, why he's attacking people. What is it that he's
Yes.
actually doing?
Maybe it's
Does he
yeah.
feed on broken resolutions, or does he feed on completed resolutions? So is he attacking them because he's
Yeah.
mad that they didn't complete it, or is he attacking them because they didn't complete it and he's hungry?
Yeah. Great questions. What if it's I like how about it's a like a tit for tat type situation where they're like get like uh next year I want to be rich and in return I'm going to do this, you know? So it's sort
Oh,
of like making like a deal. You're making the bargain with this thing where it's like
okay,
make me
yeah,
this next year and I'll return this to you.
yeah,
A Rumpelstiltskin situation. And then
okay,
they break their promise and now he's coming to pick up the debt, you know?
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
like, I mean, it could even be something like, I'll give you my firstborn, because it's just someone who's like, they're not in a relationship, they're not in whatever. And then like
yeah.
5 years
They're
later
saying it
now,
like kind of tongue in cheek.
yeah. And like 5 years
Okay.
later,
Oh,
this guy's
that's
coming.
not bad.
Here comes your
So it's
firstborn. Here
like
comes this guy.
this guy, yeah. So if this dude like broke his resolution, or maybe even completed his resolution
Yeah.
5 years ago,
Yes.
but now he's having his firstborn.
Yes.
So he's coming back to like, hey, like, I
Yeah.
gave you what you wanted,
Yes.
and I'm here to collect.
Yes. The resolution monster. Yeah. What? Is it
The resolution monster.
is it a singular story, or is it like a pack of people that have made some bargain, you know? Like
Um,
now this guy's coming
I
for the
feel like
group.
the pack of people is more fun.
Yeah, it's more funny. You get to watch somebody get their comeuppance, so you know that this monster's serious.
Yeah,
Before like we
yeah,
really go for like our main character that we're actually rooting for, and we're like, we don't want this person to get this main character.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. It would need to be like a group. I mean, it's the Final Destination format,
Yeah.
I think. Um, and then yeah, it would just be whatever it is that these people. I think I'm still a little confused on how this guy's paying it back because resolutions are not
Yeah.
always a tit for tat thing. Like you're not
Yeah.
always offering something in place of
Yeah. I think they
something
want,
else.
if you're like, next year I want to be something positive.
Rich,
Yeah. You want to be rich, you want to be in shape,
sure.
and you're not working
Yeah,
at any of these things, they're just being given to you.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's like now, the monster giving you these things. Oh, then like,
Oh,
then it's like, what are you giving in
okay.
return to this thing? So there has to be
That's
some
interesting.
form of a, like, they know this is out there, and they don't maybe necessarily believe it's true, but it's like,
Yeah.
like it is a like, it's going to come
So
for something.
this is interesting. So
Yes.
they're making New Year's resolutions,
Yeah.
um, and unbeknownst to them,
Yes.
they are making a deal with this demon.
Yes.
And so they want to get into shape. They never go to the gym, but
Yes.
they're getting into shape
Yes.
because the resolution monster gave it to them.
Yes.
And it's like maybe like people who actually work at it, the resolution monster doesn't take anything back in return, but the people who didn't work at it, they just took something from them.
Yeah.
And it's like, like you didn't earn your resolution, so like
Yeah.
I'm coming to take it back. And okay, that could actually be really interesting too, because like if the main character, his resolution was like, I want like me and my wife to get pregnant this year,
Yes.
then that could be where the firstborn thing is. It's like he's coming to take back what he gave.
Yeah.
So it's like I got you into shape, but like you didn't earn it, and he like breaks the guy's legs or something, or
Yeah.
like like you wanted money, like but you didn't actually work for it. You just like won the lottery. It's like so he just like makes the dude destitute or like whatever. And then yeah, it's like it wasn't you that got her pregnant, so I'm coming to take the child back.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
that's a
messed
good
up.
one. That's a good one
Yeah.
though. It's crazy
Yeah.
messed up, but it's good for a horror film.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so he comes and takes the thing because he
Yeah.
didn't do it. And it's
Yeah.
almost like yeah, that's a weird one. Is the
Yeah.
guy happy about it at the end?
I don't know.
His whatever wife or whatever is getting her comeuppance, or is it
I don't know. I mean that I don't
like a
I
thinner,
don't
like a thinner type
I
situation,
know. I was
right?
gonna say.
Where
I
that
was gonna
guy's
say. Yeah, that's like the like thinner. Yeah,
yeah,
that's a good one. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that.
yeah.
I think it's more like this is our main character and he's trying to
Yeah.
like
Oh,
fix things.
oh,
He's trying to save them.
yeah. So the guy who gets into shape, he's all like
Yeah.
big, buff, and strong. Then he gets like some like muscle disease the next year,
Yeah.
where now he's
Yeah.
losing all of his strength and all of his
Yeah.
body, and like it's
Yeah.
basically the demon just sucking all of his strength out. And
Yeah.
like the person
It
who's
is
like, I
like
want,
thinner.
like, yeah, I want, oh man, I want to get my doctorate, or like become whatever. And they're like
Yeah.
super smart, and then they get some like
Yeah.
brain disease,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
they're just losing all their like cognitive function. And like it's basically
Yeah.
that, like everything that
Ugh.
whatever you wish for, because you didn't work for it, I had to do the
Yeah.
work for you, which means now the next year you're paying me back by like, now I'm gonna take all that resource that like I gave you back.
Ugh. So if he does it like that, then
Yes.
this dude's kid gets sick. this, this dude's kid gets like an illness.
Which dude's kid? The main character?
Yeah.
Why? What do you mean?
His resolution was like he wanted to, start a family. He wanted to get
Yes.
pregnant. So he has a kid. So the
Yes.
resolution monster is taking the kid back. He makes him sick. He makes the child sick.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's now the obstacle is like, can I fight the resolution monster? Can I beat him?
Yes.
Can I save my kid? Can I save my child?
Yeah. Oh. Does he win or does he lose?
It'd be so rough if he lost. I think.
You know how I would end it.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I think I would try and have him beat it.
Yeah.
As long as it's within the rules, like if what the resolution monster is looking for is that, like, hey, if you make a deal with me, then you have to keep up your end of it.
Yeah.
Then it's like, I mean, it could even just be like, the New Year's coming. And so he's like, my New Year's resolution is to save my kid.
Yeah.
And so he makes another deal with the demon.
Yeah.
And the demon's like, you better work for it this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He figures out.
And like that's kind of like maybe it's left on a cliffhanger where it's like, but it's assumed. I mean.
Yeah. So it's got to be something like, it's got to be something like you're saying, where it's super high stakes. Like his kid. It's got to be something where like he figures out a way of prolonging it to get to the next New Year's. And then it's got to be something where he can go to the demon and be like, double or nothing. And the demon's like, deal. And it's like, now you're good, but now like you got to do twice what you said you were going to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
To not have me come and like pay it back.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool idea.
It's a cool idea. It'd be a rough movie to watch, I think.
Yeah.
Because like there are aspects of like body horror.
Yeah.
Kind of and it's or like torture porn. Like it's really like kind of the more like uncomfortable kind of horror.
Yeah, I'm not a
which
fan
I wasn't
of
expecting. Yeah.
I'm not a fan of that style of horror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it would feel like Thinner. It would kind of feel like that movie.
Yeah. I do like Thinner though.
I like Thinner.
Thinner's good. I don't care for like the Saw movies.
Right.
Or a lot of that stuff that just feels like
The Fly.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. The thing is like with The Fly though, I can at least appreciate the practical effects and the cool design work and all that stuff.
These are great movies.
Yeah.
But it's like I think what we mean though is like it's not something I'm just gonna throw on.
Yes.
Like
yeah.
These are movies that I prepare myself for and then watch them.
Yeah. Well, it would almost be kind of like Seven. Where this guy's going after these people for their sins.
Yeah.
And it's basically the New Year's resolution monster is going after these people for the sin that they didn't actually carry out the resolution. It was the monster who did it, and now the monster's taking back what he gave.
Yeah.
Then some. And it's
man.
Yeah. So yeah.
This is starting to remind me of another script that I wrote. I wasn't expecting the resolution monster to be so brutal, but yeah, like I think I think that's the way to go with the resolution monster.
It could be pretty brutal. That it would be scary too, having a guy who's like, I don't know. He's like someone who works with his hands, musician, and
Oh,
it's like, ugh, I know, right?
yeah, nah.
Right?
Oh man, I hate that. But yeah, no, yeah, you totally put that in the movie though.
Yeah, yeah.
You hate to do it, but like, yeah, you got to do it. Um, yeah, the resolution monsters looks like Dick Clark because he's a New Year's monster.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Thanks. Yeah, well, I think that those were some good pages. Um, so until next time, I'll see you later, brother.
What about